Welcome everyone to part 2 of restoring this 1986 Toyota 4Runner. So where we left off last time was these switches, removing all these vacuum hoses. So we're gonna go ahead and continue to disconnect those hoses. Alright, so let's see. So as you can see, this this switch has two connections. You got one from the bottom, which connects here at the top of this one, and then you got this back one here, which connects all the way to this right here. I'm not too familiar with what it's called, but at least I know where it goes. And it's also held on by this 12mm, so I'm just gonna go ahead and unscrew that. And then the only thing that's keeping it from here is gonna be this clip. I believe this clip right here, if you guys can see. I'll show you guys. Okay, so this is the clip that I'm talking about. This clip right here, it's called a C-clip. It just goes around the connector. When you take these off, try to be very careful, because this plastic is very brittle after how many years of cooling and getting heated. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just gently pry out one side. There it is. If you guys heard that, I already started cracking one side. So let me just go ahead and take this clip off camera. I'm trying to be very careful. Give me 1 second, guys. Alright, so this is the clip that I'm talking about. Just a C-clip that goes around this connector, and then that should just pop out. So I'll just go ahead and just remove this connector. And I'm just going to go ahead and label this as well. I'm just going to label it as green switch. So okay, so before we can move this throttle body intake, I believe this separates into two parts, the upper part and the lower part. There's a couple things that I saw that we need to remove first. So we got this cold start injector right over here. We also need to remove the throttle position sensor, the connector out of the way. And there's two hoses. So you got this one down here, which is pretty accessible. And then you got this hose that kind of goes towards the bottom of the intake. It's a little hard to reach right now, but at the moment we're just going to go ahead and start removing these connectors. And we're also going to label them. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove this hose. I'm sorry about that. There's actually three hoses. So there's one right here, this one that we got to follow, and then we got this one right here. So we're just going to go ahead and remove that right now, and then we can go ahead and start unbolting the upper intake part, at least the first half. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove this C-clip as well. I'm going to be very gentle to not break the connector. So I'm prying it from one side, and then, oh shit. Once I pry it, I then switch it over to the other side, and then that's when I just go ahead and open it up a little bit, and then just remove it just like that. And then this connector should be pop off ever so gently. But as you guys can tell, I already broke one side right here. Like I said, you guys have to be very careful when removing all this. This is like almost 40 years old in this truck. And next up, we're gonna remove this TPS C-clip as well, and remove the connector. Alright, so next up is this throttle position sensor connector. Try to be very careful. And I broke it, of course. Alright, so I'm going to push up on the clip right here. Very gentle, just to remove it to one side. Okay, so I have it on one side. Or I have it. Okay, I'm going to catch this clip before it falls. And there you go. You got the clip right over here. And unfortunately, we do have a casualty, and some of the connector did break off. It's alright, you know, the integrity's still there, and I guess we can still reuse these clips. But we'll see how everything turns out. But for the moment, I'm gonna put these away as well and label them. Okay, sorry for the ugly drawing. So we're gonna start removing the bolts around the intake. So I've noticed there's 3 bolts here, which I've laid out here. You got another 3 bolts right here, 12mm bolts, and then you have 2 12mm bolts right over here. But I'm gonna take them out and I'm gonna, like, I guess, poke a hole and just put them here so I know that those are the bolts. And again, this is just the way I do it, the process that I guess helps me remember where the bolts go. And keep in mind, I'm gonna have this engine disassembled for a long time, so it's really easy for me to, like, oh yeah, like these are the bolts that I'm gonna put back in that orientation, and that's where they belong. So that's the way I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna go ahead and start removing these bolts. So an update on my process: I was able to remove 4 bolts at the moment. So I guess the middle one down here is not a bolt, it's a nut, and same thing on this one. But something I realized, or something that I noticed, was that nut, see if I can get you guys a close up real quick. Nut down there in the middle actually has ground connections. I don't know how it is right there. I don't know how it is for other 2020s, but I guess mine's there. And I'm gonna go ahead and label that as well when I remove it, or when I have access to it, so I can remember that that's ground and it has to be grounded for the engine to work properly. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that and label it when I can, and then I'm gonna go ahead and remove these 2 bolts back here as well. Alright, so I was able to remove all the bolts. I don't know if it's the same for other 2020s, but I guess mine, on the one with the ground, it had a 13mm bolt, but I'll probably be replacing that with a 12mm bolt. So, but all the bolts that I took off was a 12mm. But here it is, as you guys can see, it's all removed, and then the EGR back here as well is also removed. So once you remove all that, you should have a little bit of play. I'll show you guys. You guys should have a little bit of play with removing the intake. I still have a little bit of doesn't want to come out just yet because it's still attached. Some hoses are still attached, like down here, and you got another one down here. So I'll update you guys on which hoses I had to remove for this to clear out and to be removed. Okay, so a fresh pair of gloves later, I'll show you guys what I took off. So I took off this line, which is connected through the throttle body down here, which is a coolant line, the passage coolant line. I was able to remove this hose from right here, and then I also took off this hose from right here. There's also one more hose again. This is this one that runs through the bottom. So I'm gonna see if I can try to wiggle it out and see if I have enough room to take off the clamp and push it back, and then it allows me to remove it. I'm just gonna go ahead and try that real quick, and then I'll update you guys to see if that was it. So this is the hose that I'm talking about. So if you just follow it, it just goes right there, and it has a clamp that I have to remove. Again, it's very deep there, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. So this was the hose that I was telling you guys about. I guess with the long nose needle pliers, you guys can remove the clamp back, and then it's this hose right, it's this port right here that it connects to. And just by doing that, I also had to take off like a bolt right here, like a nut, and wiggle the fuel filter, because part of it does hit the fuel filter, but it doesn't allow me to remove the top half of the throttle intake, and it gives me more room to disconnect and take a head to disconnect and get more stuff out of the way here. As you guys can tell, I don't know if they try to Mickey Mouse this, or they use the same gasket, but you guys can see that they put another silicone or like bathroom sealer on this, and well, we just have to take care of that when we put that back. My plan is actually to take this to my job and kind of like rinse it out with water. We have a washing station, so that'll help out a lot. And I'm just gonna go ahead and clean this up really well. But yeah, and this is the bottom half of the intake, and then I also have to remove more wires and more clips, but you guys will see that. As you guys can tell, I don't know if they try to Mickey Mouse this, or they use the same gasket, but you guys can see that they put another silicone or like bathroom sealer on this, and well, we just have to take care of that when we put that back. My plan is actually to take this to my job and kind of like rinse it out with water. We have a washing station, so that'll help out a lot. And I'm just gonna go ahead and clean this up really well. But yeah, and this is the bottom half of the intake, and then I also have to remove more wires and more clips, but you guys will see that. So I think this is a good stopping point. On the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to remove the harness out of the way, and then I'm also going to show you guys how to remove the fuel rail, and then we're going to go ahead and take out the bottom portion of the intake. Just go ahead and tune into the next video. Please leave a like, please leave a comment, and please go ahead and share with all your friends if you guys like my content. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll see you guys in the third video of this. Bye.
I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want.